Hello
Let's
and
do it.
welcome back to episode
Eight.
eight, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Episode eight. We've made it this far. As you can see, we're both surprised. But today is another masterclass. We are diving into all things nutrition and lifestyle because what we see that the guys we work with, they aren't failing in their nutrition and lifestyle factors because they don't care. I think it's fair to say anyone who operates at the level that we operate, that the people we work at operate, care isn't really the issue, truly. And all you have to do is look at other aspects of their life to see that the care and the intent is there. They are, however, failing because they have, and nobody has ever helped them to actually design or build a nutrition system around the life that they actually live, rather than the one that they used to have. For example, I know plenty of guys, Dave, and you might as well, in their mid to late 30s and 40s, still trying to train like their early 20s. Fucking disaster. They're all broke up after 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So it's essentially just figuring this out. And the aim of this podcast essentially is we want to give as much value in as many different relevant topics as we can. That is the intent. We're starting with this because, as we know, we will go off on tangents regardless anyway. Anyway, let's kick into it, Dave. So first question is for you. Okay, so before we dive into the science and the tactics of what we're discussing, and like you said before, most men that come to you now, like, they're not stupid. They're not really lacking information. They're not lazy because they're excelling in every other aspect of their life, professionally, family-wise, hobbies, whatever it happens to be. But what is actually going on with their nutrition? Why is that the missing link?
Yeah. So every time I get a new client, well, first, actually, just to go on the importance of nutrition, I used to separate my training and nutrition programs or packages, let's say. And people would know now within the last year or two, no matter what coaching package people come on, they're always getting some sort of nutrition, lifestyle, and training coaching because they're just too valuable. Having one without the other, for me, just makes absolutely no sense, especially when people start talking about body composition. So, number one, it's absolutely crucial. And in these intakes on nutrition, we of course do a nutrition assessment through questionnaires and a food diary, okay? So through these food diaries, we often see then things that they're missing out on simple nutrition frameworks, okay? But another thing that always comes through on the problems that these people are experiencing in their nutrition is simply a structure. It's something to follow that they're certain will work, right? And it's that doubt or that uncertainty of whether your current approach is working for you or not. And a lot of people feel like that the current approach is not working for them because their body composition or their energy or their health is not where they want it to be. So that's the first thing. Simply having something valuable to follow in regards to nutrition and lifestyle. So that's the first thing. That could be anything, guys. You know, I'm going to go through a few levels with you that would be valuable a bit later on. But just find something that is giving you the result that you feel good on and that you feel consistent on and that you can be for a long time. So that's the first thing. Another issue I see with people with nutrition and lifestyle a lot of the time is that they're simply just not prioritizing themselves and their self-care in regards to sleep, stress and recovery and nutrition. So it's not just nutrition because they're all linked, right? But when people start to prioritize themselves, sleep, nutrition and lifestyle factors is usually because some sort of big life event has happened, like they have got a health scare or their parents have become sick or someone close to them have passed early or something, you know, difficult like that. So that's when, or another one is when people look in the mirror and really don't like what they see, right? That's a big one that we talk about a lot with people coming in. But people won't say that out loud, you know what I'm saying? But that is a big one. So my advice would be is just be proactive. You know, I had one new client call very recently and this individual is over 40 years old, nearly 50, and he was just saying he just wish he was proactive a long time ago. Do you know what I mean? So don't wait. It's always valuable to add it on and be proactive on it at any age. just like strength training that we talked about last week. But just be proactive about it. If you feel like that there's a big opportunity in your nutrition or your lifestyle, be proactive with it, and you'll get the benefits for the rest of your life. So they're the big things that I see, man. What about you?
Yeah. No, I agree with a lot of that. And there's one thing, excuse me, there's one thing you mentioned there as well, was it was just finding something that they can do consistently and that they enjoy. So that is something that I have probably changed in my approach over the past 12 to 15 months, is I don't necessarily hold to the traditional ideals of how nutrition systems should or need to look anymore. Because most people, unless you are an athlete of a certain caliber, you have certain goals, most people don't need that level of scrutiny. In fact, as you've seen, it often becomes a negative. So, like, if you look at all my clients, and there's a multitude of different methods and tactics we use, you might look at someone like, right, that doesn't really make sense, or there's a lot missing from it. But if you look deeper, you can see, well, that has been consistently followed, delivered great results for the past 12 months. So is that a solid structure? Absolutely. That has all the key components that it needs. And I'd add on to what you said as well. That's the advice I'd give to people. When you're looking online, that's where most of the issues come from now. And you're looking at all these different approaches, all these different angles to take it from. Don't think you have to fit into this certain approach. Maybe you like aspects of it that suit. For example, there's a lot of, particularly with kind of parents that I work with, what I do. So as you know, Dave, and as anyone listening knows that has kids, the hardest part is, well, when you're having family dinners, what do you do? Yeah. But I have challenged a lot of clients on this. You don't need to have every single meal as part of the family. Most people rarely do. It's generally just that evening meal, I have found. So what we do is, well, if we look at having, say, 4 meals in your day, that means we make sure 75% of them are on plan, accurate, tracked, which means that dinner you have in the evening, let's just break down your plate. You might have a third of protein, a quarter of carbs, and the rest veg. Simple, easy, that's balanced. You're probably going to have all the macros you need, no stress. You can enjoy every dinner for the rest of your week. So it just comes to finding what works with the environment. And often I think it's a blend of approaches. I have yet to find someone who truly can stick to just one. Well, obviously, out in the normal kind of population, myself and yourself and people in the game and athletes, a bit different because you different demands. But for someone who just wants to look better, feel good, improve their health, it's just about finding what works long term, whether it's picture perfect or not. If you can stick to it without kind of any massive derailments, and that's the winning approach.
Definitely, man. And you touched on something there, man, that I even forgot about, you know, which I'm proud of, which is a diet approach or a diet name. You know what I mean? And it almost brings me to a thought that the leaders of these approaches are just master marketers, right?
Absolutely.
That to create
but look, like
a
carnivore, man. Carnivore is the biggest example. You have Joe Saladino, I believe that's the correct name. He was the carnivore MD. He was all things carnivore. Has since come out and said how detrimental to his health it was. You look at Liver King, and he went a step deeper and did the whole ancestral approach. You know what I mean? All of the issues came out around that. So, like, it can work. There's one client I have that does generally follow a more kind of like very low carb diet, and the carbs she does have is just as clean as can be, because she has issues with it. If her carbohydrate intake gets too high, it starts getting migraines, starts having issues that no one's really been able to figure out. So in that case, it's like, you take the approach that everyone says is wrong, but this person feels great on, is consistent on energy, training, digestion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, always comes back down to the individual, man, and it's a principle of training. You know, it's a principle in coaching. Individual differences, even in research papers, the data that you see are averages. You are going to get outliers. You know what I mean? So
exactly
that bit of experimentation and finding what works for you as an individual is absolutely crucial. But the first little, we're not going to do myth busting here too much. But if we were, it's that. You don't need to follow a diet simply because it has a name. You know what I mean? Again, I'm going to show you a classic level 1, 2, and 3. And, I'm super proud of the results that I get with my clients. And none of these diets have names. You know, they're just principles that work for a lot of people in most situations.
But that's exactly it. It's like building your house. Every house has a foundation, but no two people will build the exact same house.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, so we individualize that in that way. Yeah, love it, man.
So fuck it, and like that's just the way it needs to be. You know what I mean? And alongside that, Dave, you mentioned that when you have a new client, you like intake assessments essentially. What are the most common things that you hear that will show you exactly where the problem is?
Yeah, so a couple of things that I hear, right, before looking at a food diary is energy throughout the day or some energy crashes, 1 or 2 hours after a meal, or intense hunger pangs at certain times in the day, right? Binge eating episodes towards the evening or as soon as someone gets home. And I love that, right? Because when I hear that and then I look at their food diary, and I love time stamping their food diary. So with a time stamped food diary, then I am thinking about, okay, what is a balanced meal nutrition framework? And this is one of the most effective, simplest frameworks of all time. And it just really, really helps in regards to hormonal health, blood sugar management in the short term and in the long term, and overall health outcomes. And it goes like this: you have a plate, okay? On your plate, you mentioned it earlier. If let's take dinner for example, okay? On that plate, you want half of that plate are about two fist-sized portions of root vegetables, carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, turnip, spuds, you name it, okay? And then you want, of course, have your lean proteins, okay? As lean as you can, protein of choice, job done. And about 1 to 2 palm sizes of that. Your carbohydrate of choice, make sure that it's a fiber-rich carbohydrate if you can. White rice, the brown. White pasta, the brown. A potato, butternut squash, whatever. Natural fiber-rich carbohydrates, and cooked in and around healthy fats. You know what I mean? Extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, whatever the case may be. Just making sure that the amount that you use is in alignment with your goals. Balanced meal, okay? That's it. So now pre and post training meals is different. So we know that high fiber carbohydrates, or fiber in general, is quite a slow digester, and so are fats, and so are like very meaty proteins, like red meat, for example. So in pre and post training, I'm just looking for an easy to digest protein for that individual, especially pre training, like a Greek yogurt, and we're looking for a low fiber carbohydrate. So then we might be having white bread or white pasta, a little oat bar snack that doesn't have too much high in fiber, and then after training, we're going for maybe even a sugary-based carbohydrate that's even lower in fiber again, and we're going higher on the protein range. Every other meal is with that balanced meal framework. That's it. That's one of the simplest approaches that if the vast majority of the population... Now, does everyone need sugary carbohydrates after training? If you're going for a walk, no. Do you know what I mean? But if you are well-trained and you already have good body composition and your training is hard, and you train like an athlete, but you're just a normal Joe like me, then a bit of sugary carbohydrates post-training is warranted for that individual. For Aunt Mary, who's going for the power walk, not needed. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at these food diaries, just thinking about that, and the time in between meals is another one, right? If an individual is either missing one of those things in this balanced meal framework. A lot of people don't have enough healthy fats. A lot of people don't have enough proteins, and a lot of people don't have enough fiber. Healthy fats is very satiating, makes you feel full. A lot of fiber makes you feel full, and protein is also a very satiating macronutrient. So you're not having any one of those. You're going to feel hungry 2 to 3 hours after that meal, potentially. Along with, you're going to be missing on the nutritional benefits of each one as well. So I'm making sure that it's have all those macronutrients for those benefits, but they're still getting a bit of a crash. We might be opening up a conversation around hydration then, or that balanced meal was just 6 hours ago, 7 hours ago. Do you know what I mean? And blood sugars are just starting to dip now, and we're getting an intense hunger pang, and we need something quick, fast, and it's got to be tasty. Then we're on to justeat.ie. Then we're on to Talabat, it's called here. We're going straight to the chip, or we're going for the snacks that are in the cupboard. So I'll try to get that balanced meal within every about 4 hours, because blood sugar management is nice and regulated throughout the day with the healthy fats and the fibers. That's one of the main benefits of them. And there we go. People don't get binge eating episodes in the evenings with me with that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah,
that's a nice little
that's
framework for you guys. And again, that's what I'm seeing a lot, a lot. I'm just missing one of those things, you know.
that's exactly how I kind of approach it. So like typically the first couple of weeks with me, even if someone comes in with a body composition goal, we align everything towards that goal. But everything with me is physiology driven first and foremost. So blood sugar
Mm.
regulation, macronutrient breakdown, energy, hydration. If there's any kind of gaps in your day, what could be causing it, sleep, stress, recovery. Because what I have found, I was going to dive into this a bit later, but might as well talk about it now, is if most people will think they're just not disciplined, they don't have the willpower. Is that true with a lot of people? Absolutely. But what people don't realize, your physiology massively increases the intensity of these cravings, the intensity of these crashes. So you aren't just fighting a mental battle. You can absolutely fight it just as a mental battle, but if your physiology is already working against you, you're internally out of sync. So that mental battle is going to be so much harder, so much more difficult. Whereas if you can focus on, I find the big ones, to be quite honest, because obviously getting protein in is easier. Like a lot of people tend to be more aware of these things. Hydration and blood sugar regulation for me is are the two big ones, and I find if we're
Mm.
dehydrated, it's actually it's you can't accurately identify, well, is it one thing or the other, because hydration impacts so many different processes in the body. Like
Yep.
oftentimes people speak of crashing during the day, energy dropping. Go knock back 500 milliliters of water, see how you feel in 30 minutes. If you feel better, you're just dehydrated, right? So
Thirst feels like hunger. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
honestly,
Similar
honestly.
sensation.
Well, that's what I say to people, because people often say, "Oh, well, like I just can't seem to stop eating at meals." Like, right, well, make sure you have your salt in your food from an electrolyte balance point of view, because that is another key component. Everyone has wrong. No one is aware of it. Everyone knows to drink water, but the problem is water can flush out the sodium that we have in our bodies, so we have to replace that, and not with your usual table salt that people have that's finely ground, highly refined. You need
Mm.
to get like rock salt, sea salt, and alongside your hydration. So if you like, I personally find a good rule of thumb is a gram of salt per liter of water.
Mm.
Um, so if you have that, then you're probably going to be adequately hydrated. I've had plenty of people drinking so much water and still thirsty, still hungry, still cravings, and not a bit of salt in their food, especially if they are eating a more whole food diet, which tends to be lower in salt naturally anyway. But if you can align your physiology up with all these different things, then like the chances of success are so much higher. You will feel so much better energy wise, digestion wise, overall adherence is much easier, because that food noise that you think you have is going to be massively diminished. So unless you have those things in line, it's impossible to say like this is just a discipline issue, it's a willpower issue. When, like you said, Dave, you eat once every 6 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Try shorten that gap, man. If you can get, no, I mean your daily numbers. You know, like protein, for example, has just been a debate topic for donkeys, and now we know that just hit your a level one, right? It's all levels, right? Now we know of a level one, just hit your protein target in the day first. Worry about all the nitty gritty after
Yeah.
you achieve that, right? So if you're eating two meals and they're 6 or 8 hours apart, you know, okay, if that strategy works for you. But if you want to feel good and have sustained energy throughout the day, try have your meals in and around that every 4 hour window. Do you know what I mean? And you're going to feel better in regards to blood sugar management, less cravings, more sustained energy, like I said, you know?
I will add to that though. I will say on that
Mm.
point that it is individualistic. Like I have found some clients, if I'd have them at 4 hours, they'd be crashing like crazy. Like
Mm.
personally, for me, I know from just getting like bloods done every couple of months. Like I'm extremely insulin sensitive, so like my insulin production and response is rapid. So for me, it
Mm.
has to be nearly every 2 or 3 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours. If I don't have food, I literally feel instead of getting the shakes, crashing, which is a pain in the
Same.
ass because you can't go anywhere during the day without
Yeah.
having a bag of fucking food and snacks packed to make sure you don't
Yeah.
crash. I typically find it is more common in athletes of a higher level, but I have seen and I have had clients come to me that naturally that is more the issue. So these people essentially they were eating all the good food, but they were eating 4 and 5 hours apart, like most people would. And for
Mm.
90% of people, that's fine. So if you are someone in that category, because there has been some that think you're eating everything and doing everything right. Maybe just eat a bit more frequently and see how that feels.
Yeah. Look, the higher your activity and the higher your muscle mass as well, you know, you're going to have a higher appetite. Appetite is going to be up-regulated, you know. Like, that 4-hour rule is great for people who are eating 1-2 meals a day, you know, which is a lot of people, right? But me, Jesus, I'm eating five meals a day. Do you know what I mean? And if I don't have that, I feel it. When I'm having 5 meals a day consistently, I'm burning. Do you know what I mean? Buzzing.
That
So yeah,
1 to 2
love it,
meals
man.
a day, though, Dave. I have not come across anyone that truly functions well on this. They might think they do, and I know you can convince yourself of so many different things, and I've had this argument with people time and time again, but it just isn't. And for anyone who's in this boat listening, you just haven't seen what the other side of the fence is like, what proper
Man.
nutrition, adequately fueled throughout your day.
Facts. Man, I'm telling you, right? I'm not a big man for weighing and tracking. That's a tool, right? A tool that I like to use when something's not working or when we need some data that we just can't get otherwise, right? Now, a lot of people know my fitness pal, but there's this other one called Chronometer, right? You know Chronometer?
Cool.
Phenomenal, okay? Even the free version is phenomenal. The breakdown in nutrition that you get from Chronometer is amazing. You go put your 1 to 2 meals in Chronometer and you tell me that you are nutritionally dense, that you're hitting any of those recommendations. You are not. Do you know what I mean? 2 meals for your protein recommend, especially if you're a trained individual. If you're training in the gym, lifting weights, obviously your protein, we'll go through it there, how much you need. But in and around your body weight in pounds, or 1.6 to 2.2 of that if it's grams per kilogram. You ain't hitting that in 2 meals, man. That's
No, and have you ever seen what a
that's like
perfectly
4 steaks per
nutritionally
meal.
balanced plate look like? It's impossible to actually build a single meal that hits every single bucket. That's why it needs to be
Yeah.
ideally split over your day.
Yeah, it just ain't happening. So, you know, you'd want to be a monster of a man with a phenomenal appetite to smash those 2 meals, to have enough variety of food so you can get variety of vitamins and minerals that you need, and fibers and proteins and carbohydrates to be a well-fueled individual, you know. So get those meals up, boy. And it's just easier.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Right, Lee, I have one for you. So you work with high-performing men, some of them CEOs, entrepreneurs, so people who are incredibly disciplined in their careers, but completely neglect the thing that actually fuels all of it, nutrition or lifestyle. Why do you think that gap exists for these people?
I genuinely think it's just convenience and ease. Like those people at that level, like they don't have the time to devote to it, and they maybe haven't come across meal prep systems, meal planning services. Realistically, people at that level don't want to cook. I personally, I don't like cooking. I don't like it at all. So I will not put the time towards it. Now I'll batch cook, and my nutrition is nearly always perfect anyway. But it's just the big issue is it just doesn't. They don't see it as conducive to everything else. So because that's probably how most of them have always lived, with nutrition that has been misaligned, they have become just desensitized to it all. So they haven't seen that the grass is great, actually is greener once you have all these things aligned. Like, an interesting fact, that likes of people in kind of highly demanding roles with a lot of decisions to make in their day, their metabolic output purely from that, from a mental perspective, is much, much higher than the average person who doesn't have half the responsibility. What people don't realize, so we all know muscle is metabolically active tissue, but your brain is actually the most metabolically demanding tissue in the body. Now, we only have 2 fist size of a brain compared to however much muscle. But for someone who uses their brain more, they actually need a higher carbohydrate intake to fuel this. So if all of a sudden, as something that I've experimented with time and time again, it is rare, once you kind of get up to that kind of break-even point, it is rare to have any negative consequence from it, and it's always higher than people realize. So for me, what I see is it's convenience and ease mainly, and then there's maybe a lack of awareness, because all you have to do is look at every other aspect of life. The discipline is there, they operate at that level. So I'm sure, and 9.9 times out of 10, you have this chat with that person, it gets rectified and addressed straight away, performance increases again.
Because you're
You know
linking
what I
it to
mean?
their daily performance in the business, like.
Yeah, well, even more so, I kind of look at a cognitive output. Like your brain, let's talk brain fog, lethargy, tiredness, crashing throughout your day. Like, imagine how much more productive, imagine the quality of decisions you can make knowing that you're fully on point all day. Imagine you hit your slump in the afternoon and you're faced with X amount of decisions with brain fog and tiredness. You're not making the same level of calculations behind it. So you're not making as correct a decision as you possibly could. Maybe you are, but then it's not as efficient. And at that level, time is everything. So if you're taking longer to do things as a result, then it's going to catch you somewhere. You know what I mean? And once you kind of have that understanding around it, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like we discussed, it's having easily balanced meals that can just be got down. So with people like that, to be honest, as much as, yeah, wouldn't it be great to have 5 properly sit down knife and fork meals? Is it always possible? Not really, truly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So using things like wraps, sandwiches with kind of higher quality carbs, smoothies, having quick and easy. That just fills the gap, because also arguably people at that level, they don't care how it tastes. You know what I mean? They just need something. I'd be like
me.
that. I don't really, if I want nice food, I'll go out with the weekend. You know what I mean?
Same smoothie for about 5 years. Man, we got a toasty maker about 3 days ago, right? First time we had a toasty maker. First time I had a toasty maker in about 20 years. And I'm just looking at this thing and I'm just there. I'm smashing, right? 4 slices of brown bread, loads of lettuce, bit of cheese, loads of turkey slices. And it's taken me 6 minutes at home. I'm just, why have I not been doing this? Do you know what I mean?
It's a game changer, but that's the thing. Would you've collapsed time? So now, like, that's my big thing as well when I'm working with clients as well. If you can collapse time, and especially from a nutrition perspective, I will die on this hill. Like, batch cooking and prepping is the most effective way to stay on top of your nutrition. It is, because if you have it all cooked and ready to go, you just have to eat. You won't go and look for something else to eat when there's food just sitting there that just has to be thrown in the microwave. So you're making it easier, you're making it more convenient.
100%. Prep and environment is king, man. So prepare the environment and make sure that the environment is in alignment with the behaviors that you want. And if you fail to do that, then the likelihood and chances of failure are higher. Whereas if the environment is set up, what's in the press and what's prepped, it's more likely to happen. You know, if your prep meal is in the fridge, you know.
I also think it's an excuse people hide behind. Like, yes, I can understand not having time to cook every single day, 3 meals a day, absolutely, because no one really actually does. You know what I mean? Unless you have someone cooking for you. So, like, there's no reason everyone can find an hour, because it only really takes an hour, and you'll have the bulk of that done and dusted. So that hour put aside on your weekend, or some people might do like a Wednesday and a Sunday, and they might split it in 2. That saves so much more time during your week, because you don't have to worry about being off track or off plan. You don't have to worry about not having what you need ready. You don't have to worry about putting time aside for any of these things. So all of a sudden, you have more time, less decisions, less friction, more results. What more could you possibly want?
Yeah. That's fact, man. I like it. Right, another one for you. So with the men that you work with, okay, is there a moment that you see consistently, like a breaking point that they have when they kind of finally connect the dots between how they're eating and how they're performing in their daily life? You touched on it already with the kind of cognition and linking that, and then they start to make it more important. But is there a specific event or a happening, or is there a moment in the coaching journey where it's a bit of an aha moment for them?
Absolutely. And it's not what you think either. Most people would think it's when they start feeling good. It's not. For me, it's when they start feeling good and then have a period of feeling shit. It's like, right, this is fucking 10 times worse than I even realized it was. But that's how they used to operate as a standard on the daily. So like that, most people will come and say, oh, like, I sleep well, my stress is fine, X, Y, and Z, energy is grand. The majority of people don't realize what good actually feels like. Right? So if you get someone from feeling normal, quote unquote, to feeling great, that's fantastic. There'll be a bit of a connection there, but it's when they go from feeling great and they have a period of a week where shit goes sideways, and then they go back feeling absolutely miserable, back to their old kind of state of existence. they realize, because now they have the contrast of what it's like to live up here compared to what it's like to live down here. That's where I find that's the turning point. It's not when they start feeling good, it's when they have a lapse where they start feeling terrible again that they realize just how large that gap was. And that's why I'll say to everyone, like I had a call with a client on Monday and she had 2 weeks where that was exactly where she was. And just this girl is unbelievably motivated and driven. She is just someone who's a go-getter, ambitious, like wants to operate at the top level of everything she does, and she does. Then she had 2 weeks where it went completely the opposite. And I said to her, I said, look, like, this shit happens. It is what it is. But now you know just how good you were feeling. And she's like, yeah, I can't wait to get back there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you can get someone to the top of the mountain, and yeah, they'll see how far they've come. And I think that's the big one.
Yeah, it's almost like having the buy-in to continue it. You know what I mean? When people are just like, wow, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling amazing, you know? Almost as if that tiredness and that brain fog is the norm. You know what I'm saying? And people, it's just getting older or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Then you start connecting the dots, man.
Yeah, it's just excuses, though, isn't it? Like, it really is. It's all just excuses unless you've actually done. And I say this to everyone, like, if I have clients and they're coming back to me and saying X, Y, or Z, and I say, well, have you taken the steps? It's like, if it's a yes, fantastic, right, we just need to figure this shit out. If you haven't, then there's your problem. And if you come back again, if you still haven't done the steps, what do you expect? You're not doing anything different. Why would you expect any different results? It really is truly as simple as that in every aspect.
Yeah. Love it, man. Facts.
So one for you, Dave, just when we're kind of on that topic, more so health based. So you mentioned this concept of like father guilt before we started recording. So the idea that spending time on your own health just feels selfish and takes away from everyone else. Yeah. So what do you think this is? I think that, I just want one little thing, I think it's the most unselfish thing you can do to be able to better be present and provide for those around you. But dive in.
Yeah, I love it. So I was telling you about this new individual joining the program recently, and again, he's nearly 50 and he's becoming a father, right? For the first time. We're having a great conversation. He was like, Dave, I'm having a child, but his son is like, 2 or 3 years old now, and he was just like, can't believe this has happened. You know what I mean? I was 45 and I had my first child. Wild. But that was a big driver for him to change, and it's just one of the main reasons why one of the reasons why I love coaching these people, because they have such purpose to change, for the better, and try and invest in their health and fitness. But on the contrary, there's other people who feel guilty with the time invested to change behaviors, the effort to do it, and the money to go get coaching. So some people do feel that guilt about investing those 3 things into it, thinking that it's going to take some time, effort, money, or finances away from the family. But when an individual really does invest in themselves to learn how to do their own nutrition through nutrition coaching or whatever the case may be, the return on investment that you get is tenfold what you put into it, right? So we've talked about, the impacts of strength and fitness on longevity, but of course we know the impacts of body composition, having healthy body fat levels and having sufficient muscle mass are also massive predictors of longevity as well, okay? So not to be ignored. So let's say if you invest in an extra 2 to 3 hours a week, let's say an extra 2 to 3 hours a week on training and nutrition habits, you are getting back potentially decades, on the second half of life. You are getting back way better energy to be present in the moment. So when it comes to family time in the evening, you have the energy to run around with your kids and get up off the couch and go play football with your kids or just roll around the floor. You know what I mean? So it's massive. Other things, so we ask, hey, what's your goals? You know what I mean? People tell you, I just want to lose weight, blah, blah, blah. Same goals everyone wants that you would think would tell you. But when we go deeper, then the real stuff comes out, right? Obviously, this is all anonymous, but you won't believe the amount of people who don't have confidence or want to improve their confidence when it comes to body composition, okay? Increasing muscle mass, decreasing body fat, and being proud of themselves when they look in the mirror, okay? Now, that's not, listen, it's important, okay, but we can't also lose sight of other things like strength and fitness. It can't all be about vanity, okay? And we need to have a good relationship with ourselves and also just have, a certain element of self-compassion when it comes to our bodies as well, okay? So it can't be all about that. But nutrition and lifestyle factors and getting a hold on them will improve your confidence massively because of the mental health and emotional health benefits of eating better. Do you know what I mean? Gut health, fiber, healthy fats, hormone production. Those two things are massive for hormone health, improving your testosterone and mental health as well. Even just those two small things there, before you even start looking better in the mirror. Do you know what I mean? So you're improving your confidence to a massive degree. Another one, improving your social relational health. I have had clients who won't go to social outings with lifelong friends because they're going to go out on a boat, for example, in Abu Dhabi, because they're going to go to a beach. You know what I'm saying? And now you're not going because you're self-conscious. Now I have compassion for that and I totally understand that. But moving to a version of yourself that is going to spend time with your friends and family in those environments and connecting with the people that you love because you're not self-conscious anymore is a huge power to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So again, the time spent with the people that you love because you're not self-conscious is a gift. It's a gift. And you're just creating those beautiful memories with your friends and family. The list goes on. Energy to connect with yourself, your children, your family, your friends. Just truly being present in every opportunity that you have. So that when you look back when you're 84 years old in your rocking chair, you're looking back and say, Jesus, remember that day we all went to the beach, or remember that day we all went out on the boat and we had a great time, versus not going and missing out. You know what I mean? So, when we talk about vegetables and proteins and fibers, blah, blah, blah. We know what works, we know what doesn't. That's what's important is what I just said. To me, anyway. That's the important stuff. So, I get it, you might be a bit apprehensive, you might maybe feeling guilty, but just think about what you're getting back in return. It's massive. It's tenfold. So go learn about nutrition and lifestyle and improve your life based on that. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
I'll add to that as well. Like, if you're doing it for your kids, like, you want to be there longer. So you want to be on this earth as long as you possibly can. You also want to have a higher quality of life. You don't want to be that guy who's out of breath after fucking 10 steps chasing your kid around the garden. You know what I mean? Yeah. So while you might feel it's selfish initially, I think personally, from what I see, that can become just more, it's a barrier to hide behind, because embracing it means getting uncomfortable. It means accepting it, right? Things have gotten a lot worse. And maybe there's the question of identity, because you want to be this person for your family, but that person probably isn't, the person you want to be probably isn't actually the reality at that point in time. And alongside that as well, like, all you need to do is look at the people who are generally the happiest, the healthiest. Like, they're not doing anything different. There's a reason people that, especially now, like, anyone who's kind of have any sort of education, anyone who has any sort of kind of ambition, like, they realize the power, and Martin Brady touched on it as well. Like, your mental well-being and prowess is directly linked to your physical. So all of a sudden, like, the finance side of things. So do you think you'd be able to go and actually work harder, make more money if you had more energy and confidence? You weren't tired the whole time? Absolutely. The likes of giving time to the family. Well, what do you want more? Do you want to be the guy that has to sit in the porch and look at them because you can't keep up? Or do you want to be able to run around with them? What time is more valuable? So I think it comes down to time quality as much as just out and out time. You know what I mean? So it's just, like that. There's a lot of things to definitely unpack behind it. But I also think as well that it's all well and good to say you want these things, and if you don't take any action towards it, I'm of the opinion, this is just me, if your action dictates the results, and I'll die on this hill as well, you don't deserve any of the reward or what that looks like if you're not going to do any of the work. Simple as. No one is owed anything in this life. And I've had that chat with a couple of clients over the past number of weeks, that, like, no one is owed anything. You have to go and get what you want. So the goals you have to work for them. realistically, and I'll say this as well, with the likes of kind of fitness and health, body composition, living a long, healthy life, that is something that most people don't get to do.
Yeah.
Why is
it's
that?
mad when you
Because
think about it.
they won't take the actions that's required to get them there. So on the flip side, if you want something that most people don't have, you have to do the work most people won't do.
Mm.
It's not any more harder than this.
Yeah, and that's why accountability and simply something to follow that you're certain is going to work
Yeah.
is crucial. Do you know what I mean? With information overload out there as well, and this one, I'll try this one, I'll try that one, and all or nothing approaches and everything that we've touched on before. Just having that someone in your corner. It doesn't have to be a coach. It could be your partner. It could be a mate. You know, go experiment with some nutrition principles with somebody, and just be accountable. But you got to change your daily decisions over time.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And you have to accept, we were talking about this before we came on air, men especially, we will not ask for help until it is gone way past the point of actually needing it. We will not talk about the help we are receiving. And you will be sure we're not going to feel comfortable with opening up and sharing all these different things. But reality is that that's just part of life. It is. If you want, there's no one who's been successful in any field who hasn't got some level of help somewhere along the line to get to that next level.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, you know, being a coach, you have some amazing conversations, and I'm sure you're the same. You know, we're all having the same vulnerable thoughts, lads. We all feel insecure at times. We all feel like we're down in the dumps at times. I definitely do when I go through a period of being under recovered, like I was 2 weeks sick from, I should have deloaded that training session. But I was down in the dumps for that whole 2 weeks, man, and nutrition wasn't as good and blah, blah, blah. And we all have those experiences, you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
you know, we have to lead from the front, you know, that's in alignment with the name of this podcast. We all feel shit, lads. We all have down days, down weeks, down months. It's completely normal.
Exactly. That's it.
Especially when you don't know something as well, like nutrition. You know, ask Lee, ask yourself, send us a message on Instagram. We're there to help you, but just be vulnerable enough to go and do something about it. You know it's important.
100%.
Don't divide it. You may or may not have people that rely on you. Go do something about it.
That's exactly how I operate as well. Like I was telling you, like obviously, since we came home from travels back in January, February, March, probably the toughest months I have had mentally in a year because life will look completely different. So, and yeah, there was a small element of us probably spent a bit longer than I would like, feeling sorry for myself, thinking, oh, why the fuck is this happening? You know what I mean? Whereas, like, you can, I'm a big believer, and I say this to all my clients, like, we have to acknowledge these emotions. We have to understand where they're coming from, but we don't sit in it. We can't let it control us. We can't let it dictate what we do. For example, like over that period, training was done. There wasn't a session missed. Nutrition, I would say probably pretty much on point across the board. And that's only recently, like 2 years ago, everything would have been off the rails, right? So I do think a lot of it but that comes from just finding the right approach. For me now, everything is aligned. Nutrition is easy, training is easy. Like once you have everything set up, that doesn't actually require much effort, whether you enjoy it or not. I woke up this morning knackered. I didn't want to go to the gym, but there was no question. Got up as soon as the alarm went off, got food in, like, right, let's get the bit of work done, on to the gym. You know what I mean? That's all it takes. You don't have to feel up for everything, and you won't the vast majority of the time. It's rare, like Gaz said, like you're not supposed to be happy the whole time, but just because you're not happy, you're feeling it isn't an excuse not to do these things.
Yeah, facts. And the funny thing is that these things are the things that are going to get you happier faster.
Yeah,
compared to if you didn't, you know,
but this
not
is
training, you know, versus training, eating shit food versus eating good food, hydrating versus not hydrating, you know.
Again, you have
stress,
that contrast, Dave. You have that contrast. That client I talked to on Monday, she knows what it was like to feel great, knows what it's like to feel the bottom of the barrel. She knows where she wants to live, and it's not the bottom
100%.
of the barrel. You know what I mean?
100%. And honestly, that's how I live my life as well. You know what I mean? I'm just like, a lot of the time I'm back there now the last week or so. You know, I'm topping them out, man. I feel unbelievable. I'll take on that, and at the minute I feel incredible. So when I don't feel like this, I really miss it. You know, I'm just like, this is over. You know, I can't feel like that good all the time, which you can't. But when I don't, I really miss it. You know, so nutrition is just a great way of tapping into that. You know.
Of course, I think, but again, this is completely, as it is with us, completely off tangent. But that's, I feel, where it becomes a true mental game. Because even when you feel like that, and I feel like that, we still have the physical capacity to choose good food, to go train, to do all these things we need to. Like, I'm not perfect. I still have periods where the fucking mental battle wins, right? But
Yeah.
that is where you will build resilience and mental fortitude. Because if you can learn in the presence of feelings and emotions that don't necessarily align with what you want, where you want to be, what you want to do, if you can still learn to take the actions regardless, like, your results become inevitable. Like I say to everyone, if you're constantly on top of your food, I say constantly, I say the vast majority of the time, there's obviously room for allowance, for just big deviance. If you're
Yep.
hitting your training, you're on top of your steps in your sleep, you're going to reach all your goals without having to do anything extra, quicker than anything else, compared to if you're thinking about 24/7, like obsessing, but actually not doing the things. That's quite common, right? You've seen it. I've seen
Yeah.
it so many times, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another chat I have with people as well. Is like, and like obviously some people you can talk a bit more bluntly with.
They're
Other people you
direct.
have to other people you have to soften it. But like if you have these goals and you're not taking the actions, what do you expect? There's only
Yeah.
so much you can do. This isn't an approach issue. If you've tried 10 different approaches and you haven't found one for you, likelihood is in this scenario it probably isn't the approaches that are the problem. There's probably a deeper rooted issue internally that you need to uncover and identify why. Because as we know, as we've alluded to in the past, hard work can fucking overcome nearly anything, even if their approach is wrong. If you work hard enough
Yeah.
for long enough, you still make great progress.
100%. Listen, imperfect action is better than no action at all. And sometimes I have to take advice of that myself. You know what I mean? When it comes to business development, put myself out there on social media, which I'm getting much better at. But imperfect action, guys who can kick the door down when it comes to any nutrition approach that's 50% in alignment to what you think, versus fellas who are just doing nothing at all that's in alignment to the goals. The guys who's doing 50% is going to beat the guy doing 0%. But the guy who's doing 0% sometimes has 100% of a week every 6 weeks. That guy ain't
Yeah.
going nowhere fast. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That 50% guy every week is going to smash in regards to the goals that he wants, you know?
And on top of that, then as well, like, you can have different approaches for different periods in life. Like so I'll use aggressive dieting for an example. Like, 'cause I like to use that approach, especially with athletes, because you only have a fixed window to pull body fat off. So you can't really take your time with it. It has to be aggressive. It has to get as much as makes sense. But that isn't something you'll do all year round. But then it's like, right, so there's periods in your life where maybe everything is easy. Yeah, fucking work harder, get more results then, so that when you have a period of life where things have to take a backseat, you're just slowing down. So a big reframe I like to build with clients now is this concept of falling off track or falling off the wagon, whatever it is bullshit. Like, the reason this is happening is because there's probably internal mental work that needs to be done for sure. The approach definitely wasn't aligned for that time period. It doesn't have to be aligned forever, but for that time period. Whereas if you can kind of view things more as a point of speeding up and slowing down, that when life is good, you make fucking twice the progress than you normally would because you can. Then all of a sudden you have a period, I have, say, clients in kind of professional exams, busy periods of work. Well, yeah, we've made 10 steps forward over the past 2 months. Let's maybe only make one step forward over the next 2 weeks. Maybe let's maintain. So if you imagine you can spend every 52 weeks of your year either progressing forward or maintaining, never going back.
Yeah, facts, man. I love it. I absolutely love that. And I call that kind of like turning the dial up or turning the dial down. Or if we see it as a 1 to 10 scale, we're an 8 out of 10 on effort, intensity, and intent on times where you can. And then we might be dancing around a 3 or 4, you know,
Absolutely.
time, effort, and intent when we can. But we're never going to 0, you know,
No,
because
and the big thing there as well is, sorry for cutting across you, Dave. We're both of us are getting very into this conversation. The big thing is, even on your slow weeks, you still have to have given max capacity. You still have to have given as much as you possibly could. Like, if you have a slow week and you could have given more, then that's okay. That happens. But if that becomes a standard, that's where things start slipping. Like, if you have a week at 40% and that 40% was your 100, fantastic, job done, mission achieved. But if you have a week at 40% and you could have given 80, you probably need to have a bit of a conversation then.
Yeah, agreed, man, 100%. So never pressing pause on it. You know, is the principle there when it comes to nutrition and lifestyle. It's not all or nothing. There's always something you can do, which is
Yeah.
a nice little mantra that you can have. So there's, if a 5 minute action is another great principle. But look, we could bang on for another half hour as we usually do. So let's bring it to a close, bro.
Yeah, sounds like
So-
a plan, Dave. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah, nice one. So, guys, anyway, that was nutrition lifestyle. Classic. We never get through everything that we plan, but here we are. This is a great conversation. This is what it's all about. So, the principle is, guys, if you really want to unlock peak performance physically, mentally, emotionally, having energy sustained throughout the day, nutrition is one of the biggest return on investments that you can apply. If you ignore that, just imagine not feeling that way. Imagine being lethargic throughout the day. Imagine having ups and downs regularly, intense hunger pangs, cravings, and it's impacting other areas of your life because you don't have the energy to engage socially, for example. So just invest in it, apply in it, find something that works for you, and just make sure that it's having a sustained positive impact on your life and something that you feel you can do over the long term. That's the biggest principle that I can give you. Yeah, that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much. If you've made it this far in the podcast, and if you want us to go over any topic in the future, please let us know.
We will see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.